Hi guys, Jasmo here, and this is just a quick update. A lot of people wanted me to talk a little bit more about the upgrades and how to progress with this Toxic Rain Raider, so that's exactly what this video is going to be. I'm gonna showcase, I guess, first an example map, so you can see the build in action, how the build works. This is basically what I've been doing when I'm collecting my heist contracts and blueprints and coins. Actually, I have the wrong trinket equipped because I have the Chaos to Divine trinket and I'm supposed to have the Rogue Marker duplication, but it's okay. I'm just gonna showcase the map just so you can see. I'm not really bothering killing everything, and even though I play like this, I'm level 98 because we're simply not really dying because I'm not allowed to die because I'm doing heist most of the time. So that's how we're able to hit this high level. And basically I'm just quickly running through the map, finding the smuggler's caches. I'm not really interacting with other monsters. I don't really pick up essences or any other things because it's pretty much just a waste of time. My Mirage Archer is gonna kill a bunch of stuff, but I'm not really worrying about full clearing the map or anything like that. Just gonna go kill the boss. And yeah, we'll get the invitations, we get some map drops, we get some raw divines dropped every now and then in the maps, and that's basically it. So that's how the character works. As you can see, I switched to the Phantasmal Toxic Rain, so now we're shooting 10 projectiles at the same time, right, from one attack. I'm gonna show you better in the hideout so you can see this clearly. So you can look maybe like here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where is the 10th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. There's 10 projectiles, right? Because we're shooting 9 additional arrows, right? And plus the base arrow. We got level 30 Phantasmal Toxic Rain with 50 quality, right? So it's doing a lot of damage. It's shooting a ton of projectiles. And the Mirage Archer is spamming it. And we got really nice attack speed as well. 0 mana cost. I went with like full like quality of life for this build, right? So I just simply hold left click and then press right click every now and then, or press whatever other hotkey. I have multiple hotkeys. People ask like, why do you have the same thing on multiple hotkeys? Just so I don't have to spam with the same finger over and over, just to let my fingers rest and not get RSI. I'm basically using it for that reason. So yeah, the character is super comfy to play, does all content in the game and does it very, very quickly. We got like 460% bonus movement speed, so it's very quick as well. And I guess I'm just gonna go first over the skill gems, then the gear, and then we're gonna go over the passives. This is basically as much as I'm gonna invest into this character. I'm not planning on upgrading it. Even like for a long time I haven't needed to upgrade this, but I wanted to get the Phantasmal Toxic Rain in with the ashes, and then swap also to the ashes. I can also run determination, right? So we have like 43k armor, 67k evasion, so the character is pretty tanky, plus lots of other defenses that I'm going to talk about. But let's go over the skill gems. So we're using Phantasmal Toxic Rain. The reason why I like using Phantasmal Toxic Rain is because it gives you so much coverage that when you're running so fast, you don't really want to like stop to kill monsters. So you want the monsters to die as they're chasing you, and because they're running, the bigger the coverage you have, the bigger your AoE, the more damage you're dealing because they're running through that, right? So Phantasmal Toxic Rain is really nice. Plus you don't have to aim accurately. It's just like it's just shooting all over the screen and you don't have to do anything, right? Like you see like whole screen covered in a second and you don't have to worry about anything. So it's very good quality of life as well. I like the Phantasmal Toxic Rain option. Then we have Mirage Archer. I need to have alternate quality of that. I don't have regular quality on this because it does nothing. As I said, this is not min-maxed at all. This is just the state I have it in right now, right? But a lot of people wanted to find out. So you can get alternate quality with supported skills have increased duration. That would be really good for that. Then we got Awakened Void Manipulation, Awakened Vicious Projectiles. Those are two high damage gems, support gems that you can have. Then we got efficacy. I think alt quality would be also better. And then we got empower level 3. I can get empower level 4 as well. I have Empower level 3, but I have Enlighten level 4. So that's another upgrade we can make here for more damage, but I don't really need more damage. And then we've got the faster attacks, Withering Touch, Phantasmal Toxic Rain with Ballista Totem support. So we have the totem setup for some extra withers. The totems are not very tanky, so they're gonna die all of the time if you don't place them like in the right spot, but it doesn't really matter because I have wither on hit from the bow anyway, so that's just like extra wither if I want to set up before a boss or something for extra few hits to get the wither up faster. It's not really necessary at this point, because I also have the Withering Step, right? And I can get the old quality and have Withering Step by itself apply 15 withers every time, because we're running Ashes as well, which is a really, really nice combo with that. Then we've got the aura setup, so we got Malevolence with Enlighten, Determination, Grace. So Determination, Grace, Malevolence as the big auras, and then also have Vitality, trying to recolor this chest so I can fit also my Clarity into that, and that would allow me to run slightly higher level of Vitality. But that's the aura setup. Then we've got cast when damage taken, Immortal Call. The reason why I'm running Immortal Call is because I have Enduring Composure. So with Enduring Composure, which is here, whenever I get hit, I start gaining charges and I get my Immortal Call procced, right? So usually you're gonna be running around, you're gonna have, like if you got hit in the past, however many seconds these charges last, then you're gonna have the endurance charges, and if you get hit hard enough, the Immortal Call is gonna proc, is gonna consume the charges, but it's instantly gonna start creating the charges as well, right? Because you got hit. So this is a really nice combo, works very well, gives you a lot of extra physical mitigation. At this point, since I have a lot of armor and I swapped to Determination, I could also run Molten Shell, right? Molten Shell is also great. Molten Shell will be probably even better now that I have Determination, but before I had Determination, this was the best comp, right? If you're not running a lot of armor, then Immortal Call with Enduring Composure is really, really good. Then we also have Blink Arrow for just traversing some skills. I don't need it for like actual mobility because, you know, we got mobility coming from just moving really quickly. And then what else do I have? I got Withering Step, Phase Run, Enhance, and Increase Duration. So we got Enhance level 4. Gives me extra quality for the phase run, which gives you movement speed, and then for Withering Step, which gives you increased effect of elusive, which makes me also faster and harder to hit. So we get really high effect of elusive, which means we get some chance to avoid damage. So we get like chance to avoid damage with tons of evasion, so I'm very, very hard to hit as well. And that's it when it comes to the gems. Very, very simple setup, right? And I have Withering Step, Toxic Rain, and Phase Run. I can swap these. If you put this on the left click, and this on the right click, you can basically run it like this, right? And it has 100% uptime because it's like every 3 seconds it refreshes and it lasts 6 seconds, right? So it's really, really nice. And then you can press the Wither whenever you're fighting something, or you can have it the other way around. It depends on how you prefer to use that. Yeah, and then I also have the Toxic Rain Ballistas, which I sometimes use on a boss or something. Okay, let's now go over the gear. So the character is based around basically having being like the perfect heist runner, but it's also like the perfect for running so many other mechanics, like Betrayal, for example, temples, right? I run temples in like, I run temple in like 30 seconds, right? Like, so I can corrupt gems for profit very, very quickly. This is a really amazing character for so many different things, right? It's such a, like a high utility character. If I'm gonna be doing challenges, I bet I can do challenges super insanely fucking quickly on this character, faster than on anything else, right? Except for maybe some bossing challenges, which I don't have that much DPS, so bosses would take a while. But other than that, it's perfect for everything else in the game except for bossing. What else do we have? Okay, let's go over the go over the gear in order. So first is the bow. The bow, I would ideally like Markev base, but I found a Thicket base with this skill tree. So we got +1, which is the first priority that you want for this build. Then we got Wither on hit, which is another great thing to have. And then we also have 15% increased explicit physical and chaos modifiers, and we have 2 chaos modifiers because this is a hunter chaos damage over time bow. So that's why we have these 3 modifiers. And then quality also allows me to do the speed thing, which I don't have here. Speed. Quality, increased attack speed, a weapon, increased attack speed per quality. Yep, all right. So we also are gonna use that. I didn't have the juice before to upgrade that, but that's also extra attack speed, which is very, very nice. And then the way you craft this bow is super, super simple. I can explain this because a lot of people, I don't know how much, this bow with this tree would cost you like 20 divines probably. But if I sniped the base for 1 divine, basically what you want to do is you want to go to POEDB, find all of the mods that you want, put them all in a trade on the trade website as with a count property, right? And then type like 3. So you're looking for all the bows that have like 3 of these modifiers or 4 of these modifiers, right? And then you can prioritize whichever ones you want by removing the other ones, right? If you like for sure want the wither and +1, you're gonna look for a bow that has at least those 2, and then you look at the rest, right? So it's very, very easy to find those on trade, and they're usually very undervalued because people don't know what the hell they have. And then I don't recommend like making it yourself or unveiling it unless you want to like make the best in slot 5 perfect passives with like deterministic crafting, because you can deterministically craft those. As far as I know, I haven't interacted much with the league mechanic because it's really boring to me, but you can do that. So you can look into that to make like a perfect base or just snipe one. I got this one for 1 divine, and then the craft. So in order to craft this, you want to be able to roll T1 attack speed with alterations. If you roll T1 damage over time multiplier, that's also fine. It's slightly less damage, so the T1 attack speed is a little bit better. The essence attack speed is another option, but the essence goes only to 18%, and if you want to start with a good base, then rolling with alterations you can get 19. So that's up to you. You can just do it with an essence for 18% very, very quickly, save yourself the time of rolling with alterations, and then annul. If you're rolling with alterations, by the way, I saw someone make a guide for crafting this bow, and they kind of give a wrong information. They do something in a little bit of a wrong order. If you're hitting with alterations and you make it magic and it also has a prefix, do not annul that prefix. Regal it first, then annul. Because if you annul it first, you got 50-50, and then when you regal it, you got 50-50 again, right? But if you regal it first, you got 66% of success, and then you get a 50-50, right? So you want to regal it first and then annul. That way you have a higher chance of keeping the attack speed, and that's what you start with, right? You only have the attack speed. Then you can have up to 3 crafted modifiers as a suffix, that's your second suffix, and as a third suffix you put cannot roll attack modifiers. And then what you do is you slam Hunter's Exalted Orb. That's gonna guarantee the increased chaos damage over time if you only have the prefixes open and have the cannot roll attack modifiers. And then you're gonna have last suffix left, and you slam regular Exalt for the +1 to level of socketed gems. This is the only step where there is pretty much RNG involved, because it's gonna determine which roll of the Hunter's mod you get. I got tier 4, so I could recraft this bow, but honestly I couldn't care less. We're doing enough damage anyway, and it's being increased by the modifier I have on the tree. And then you remove the crafted modifiers, and then you put these crafts, right? Can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, chaos.multi, and +2 to level of socketed support gems, which is an unveil from the syndicate boss, right, from Katarina. So that's the bow, and later you enchant that with harvest as well for the increased attack speed, and that's it. Quiver, I don't recommend crafting a quiver unless you're gonna craft a lot of quivers. So quivers, usually you would craft these with like aberrant fossils and just try to get the double.multi. And for me, I also have the requirement, I want high life and I want movement speed, right? So it will be very, very difficult to craft that myself. So for me, it was much more economical to buy this unless I wanted to get into crafting quivers. If you want to get into crafting quivers, that's cool. You can do that, and you're probably going to make some good money because you're going to be producing a lot of different quivers. Like, try to hedge and like manage your crafting in a way where you can produce quivers that are good for also different builds, while also trying to aim for your own quiver, right? So you're going to be producing the quivers, selling the ones that other people would find useful, and then trying to use that currency that you're going to be getting to continue crafting for your own quiver. And that way you're probably going to make currency while getting your own quiver. But if you don't want to craft, then I definitely recommend buying the quiver. If you don't want to like craft a lot of different quivers, because you cannot just craft your own quiver with like double.multi movement speed and life. It's gonna take a lot of tries, and you're gonna like produce some byproducts that you should be selling on the way. So that's the quiver. Then we've got the chest, simple Queen of the Forest, get a good roll, 6-link it yourself with the bench, don't bother rolling with the fusings. That way you're gonna get really good attributes on this. You're gonna get like a good life, good resistances, high evasion. You can get all of those good stats and a 6-link for cheaper than if you were to try to get a 6-link with those good stats already. Then we got Devotos. You can get Malevolence, Grace, or Determination Reservation Enchant on that, and you want 25 Chaos Resistance, or as much as you can get. Then I have Mage Blood, but the thing is you can just simply run something like, as you can see, like these resistances are very, very low. You can fix that with a simple, like single gem, right? You get one socket gem that I should be using, but I'm not. So one gem fixes those resistances and strength, right? The strength could be also on one of the other pieces of gear, right? Like for example, on this ring, instead of the Chaos Res, could be int, and instead of int here could be strength. So the Mage Blood gives me mainly movement speed. I'm immune to curses. I have a ton of armor. It just like stacks my armor like crazy, and a ton of evasion, and then reduced mana cost of skills. So the main benefits I get is like curse immunity, and then reduced mana cost of skills, which can be fixed with jewels such as these, which I don't need anymore, because if I take this jewel out, I have still 0 mana cost. I have like way overboard. I'm like way overboard with the reducing of the mana cost. My shit probably costs like -20 mana. I should be gaining mana for casting it. But yeah, reduced mana cost of skills. You can also get -flat 2 mana cost of skills on some jewels. You can also get this Watcher's Eye modifier. That is non-channeling skills have up to -10 to total mana cost while affected by clarity, and you only need you only need level 1 clarity. What else can you get? You can get regular mode on the flask. Earlier on you can run Enduring Flask. What else can you run? You can run different anoints, like instead of running the anoints for freedom of movement, you can run the Dreamer for reduced mana cost of skills. You can run, instead of Flow of Life, you can run Mana Regeneration and increased max mana with damage over time, or chaos damage over time. That's another node that you can run on small cluster jewels. So there's a ton of ways of doing that. That's the belt, and you can either run at the beginning, I was running this thing, the Ascent from the Flesh. You can run like the Harbinger Orb, right? Torrent's Reclamation with like movement speed modifier while Flask is active, and attack speed while Flask is active, or like all res. There's also all res corruption on that you can get pretty cheaply. So that's the belt replacement, and other than that, other than solving the mana, it doesn't really break the build. It just makes you less tanky, right? And a bit slower, and you have to press the flask, so it's like huge quality of life. Then I think it was yesterday or the day before, I crafted basically the rest of the gear. So I crafted all of both the rings, and I crafted the boots and the gloves. So the boots are basically, you want to get fractured boots with like T1 res, and then you want to roll the chance to avoid elemental ailments from an essence. It comes from this essence, Deafening Essence of Loathing. They're very expensive essences, but because you have that fracture, you only need to hit one other modifier. You could hit suppression, you could hit attributes, you could hit resistances, you could hit regen, whatever your build needs. Once you get the suffixes, then you do prefixes cannot be changed, Veiled Chaos, block mana, unveil movement speed. And the movement speed is going to have one of three options. It's either going to have onslaught, it's going to have chance to avoid being chilled, or it's going to have increased movement speed if you haven't been hit recently. That's the best one to get for me, but I didn't get it, but I got the other 30% roll, so I kept that. And then you craft life. You can also Exalt Slam or Eldritch Exalt Slam for another modifier like evasion. And then for prefixes, you want movement speed or action speed. For me, the movement speed gives me more movement speed than the action speed, so that's why I went with that. And then extra chance to avoid elemental ailments, and that way you can get 50% chance to avoid elemental ailments on boots. Then you got the extra 30 coming from here, Crystal Skin and this thing. This pathing node, so that gives you 80, and then the remaining 20 comes from the thick skin, so that gives you 100% chance to avoid elemental ailments, including all the alternate ailments. So you have freeze, chill, shock, brittle, sap, all of those things you're immune to, which is huge quality of life. And that way you can also skip this node, Avatar of the Veil, which allows you to pick up the Way of the Poacher, which allows you to get +1 frenzy charge as while bossing, and you can drop Blood Rage. You could run Blood Rage if you want the extra attack speed, but you don't have to press the extra buttons. So again, more quality of life, and again, my frenzy charges, so I'm all for that. The gloves, super simple. I just needed some res, including chaos res, and then some extra suppression attack speed on the implicit. Since I was running these boots through a lab, because I have a very quick character, I can do lab in like a few minutes, so I enchanted my gloves as well. The commandment of reflection or of light, I think, are the best ones that you can get. Of light heals you when you get a crit, or you get like a huge regen when you get crit. And then the reflection creates like a clone when you get hit, which basically distracts enemies and you don't get hit that way, right? So it's really, really nice to have. I like using these ones. These are like two huge defensive, powerful glove enchant options that are very overlooked. And then we got 2 rings. 1 ring you want Despair on hit. Again, it's going to be only level 1 Despair, so you're going to lose some single target damage compared to self-casting it, but it's going to be automatic. You don't have to cast it. It's just more quality of life. As you can see, you're noticing a pattern. Everything here is about quality of life. Just go fast, press 1 button, don't care about anything, right? So that's how I built this character, because I just want to have an easy time playing it. Crafted it with essences of int, right? So we're spamming the int essence until we hit a decent suffix with the despair. This is one of the more expensive parts of like crafting any of these pieces of gear, because it's gonna take a lot of essences. It might take you hundreds of essences to hit the despair on hit with some good suffix, right? You can also try to find them on trade. It doesn't have to be amethyst ring, can be on any other decent base. If you can find despair on hit with like int or strength and a decent res, then you're golden, because you can craft the prefixes yourself, right? You can even, if you can find it cheap with full prefixes, it might be even worth buying to YOLO annul for 50-50 to redo the prefixes if it's cheap enough, right? Like if I think I found one for like 1 divine or something, and I did that, but I did unfortunately break it because I hit I hit a suffix with that. But you can, after you get the suffixes, you do suffixes cannot be changed, veiled chaos orb, and then you block mana, unveil life, and then you also get the non-channeling skills have a -2 mana cost, but you can also hit this naturally while doing the veiled chaos orb. There are so many different ways of crafting there, but that's like one of the easiest. And then the other ring is just simply resistances and strength. Same thing, I found this fractured ring, so I kept it, because 16 to all elemental resistances is actually the most elemental resistances you can have from any modifier. It's higher than a T1 single res, right? Because this is what 48. Wait, is that 48? So that would be the exact same as a max roll T1. But it's really nice for my character, because it made my resistances balanced, and I didn't have to like play with it too much. And then I simply rolled it with strength essence until I hit any tier of chaos res, because I just needed a little bit of chaos res to cap my chaos res. And then just suffixes cannot be changed, veiled chaos orb, unveiled life after blocking mana, and then craft the -2 mana cost, right? That's another way. If you catalyze these, as you can see, I have attribute modifiers catalyzed because I needed more int, but if you catalyze for life and mana, I think to 15%, it's gonna make them go to -8 to total mana cost, right? So you can get these on all of your jewelry. And then we got ashes. For ashes, I needed just 30% quality, and then any amount of reservation was fine, because I can fit the auras pretty much with any amount of reservation. So I just got whatever was like the best price for value breakpoint, right? So I got this one for I think like 27 divines. I think 27. Let's see, how much does it cost right now? If we try to look for 1630, it costs 2830. Yeah, so I paid a decent price. You can try to pay, you can pay like 20 divines and gamble divines, but it's gonna be on average 1 in 10 to hit the 30 quality, right? And that's what I want, because that just gives me the extra projectile. And then on average, you're gonna hit like 15%, right? It's increased reservation efficiency by spending 30 divines. Because you're gonna have to spend on average 10, right? You might get lucky, you might get unlucky, so I prefer to just buy it myself. And that's basically it. For flasks, corrupted blood immunity, and then we got armor and evasion and movement speed. That's basically it. And then we got a reduced mana cost of skills. This is huge, because it makes, as you can see right now, 18 mana with this 0 mana, right? So this is huge because these bonuses, these flat bonuses, they're counted after, right? So first you have the percentage reduction, and then you have the flat reduction, which is very beneficial for you. Then we got armor increase, then we got movement speed. Of course, everything is max roll here because since I'm using a Mage Blood, I'm gonna go the best flasks I can possibly get. And then we got reduced effect of curses on you during effect. You only need, I think, 51 or 52 reduced effect of curses. I think 52 reduced effect of curses on you during effect in order to bump it up to 100% with all the increases of the flask effect that you have, right? So you don't necessarily need T1. T2 is totally fine for that. And then let's talk about the passives. Passives are super simple, right? So I already talked about how I swapped out of Avatar of the Veil for the Way of the Poacher. And then we've got the pathing. We cut off this part completely because we want to run a couple of cluster jewels, and then we want to also path to the duration. The duration is really nice and useful for like Wither, for phase run, for the Toxic Rain itself. This gives me a bunch of armor evasion, which is a huge increase as well. Avatar of the Hunt. We're running, I find this node actually really nice. The every 4 seconds regenerate life equal to 1% of armor and evasion rating over 1 second. So 1% of my armor and evasion rating, I have over 100,000, right? 110,000. So it's 1,100, I think, regen, right? I think it's like 1,100 regen. So it's really nice, and you can see this regen popping off here. It goes from live regen per second 66 to 1,100. It's about 1,100 regen, like a little burst. It's very nice to have. Just some extra sustain. This gives me +1 max res as well. We've got the cluster jewels that of course have Unholy Grace, Unwaveringly Evil, and Wicked Pulp. Watchers I talked about before, Enduring Composure, Movement Speed Suppression, Movement Speed Life. Then we got the Transcendent Spirit here. This node is not a mistake. You need it because if you don't have it, then you're gonna get negative movement speed from this dex node being unallocated, and by allocating it you get positive movement speed. So this gives me 3% per every dex allocated, right? And then 2% reduced per unallocated. So you want to allocate every single dex node around here, and this gives you like roughly 20 to 30% movement speed. Then we get also small cluster jewels with Wicked Pal, Flow of Life, just random jewels I had before that I didn't bother changing. It's live, attack speed with bow, scales dot multi, reduce mana cost of skills. These are really nice early on to run. And then just the best nodes that we have available here. So like Charisma, Wasting, Blood Siphon, Fangs of the Viper, Entropy, because, you know, more movement speed, and then Hunter's Gambit, which is one of the like best nodes on the tree for this build. It's really powerful. So very simple, very self-explanatory. The build is super comfy and extremely fast, and I'm really enjoying playing with this. No matter what type of mechanic I want to do, I just want to play with this build because it's so much better than everything else when you can move this quickly, be this tanky, so that you don't have to worry about anything, right? Because we have a fairly comprehensive defense, right? Like we got some decent sustain because I got this regen, I got the flask that I can always rely on because I don't have to use it almost ever because we almost never get hit. We got a huge amount of armor with endurance charges, with Immortal Call, and then we've got a huge amount of evasion with elusive, so we hardly ever get hit. And then we've got decent res, capped chaos res, capped suppression, capped ailment avoidance. We're moving so fast that nothing can even hit us because of we're just moving too fast, right? We got a couple decoys, right? We got these things, we got the thing from the gloves. So the character is super comfy to play, and that's basically what I went for. So if you're looking for something that can do basically any content that doesn't require a huge amount of DPS, I don't know what my DPS is right now. I haven't bothered checking. You can check that out in the POB because I'm gonna put POB for this exact character in the description and figure it out for yourself. But yeah, this is not min-maxed for doing damage. This is just min-maxed for like pure utility and comfort of like quality of life and just doing any league mechanic I want to as fast as possible. But that's it. Hopefully this explained everything. If you want to like play this character, if you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.